Hey, 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 welcome to another edition of The Other People Show on this rainy Friday night, 11:08 p.m. on 92.5 WLSD The Vault. Man, it's going to be a great show tonight. We have the creator, director of Psycho Silico, Tyler Payne, in studio.
How you all doing tonight?
Man, it's good to have you in studio.
Dude, it's dope to be here. This is really cool. Nice setup.
Yeah, thank you. We got a lot to discuss tonight, my friend.
Hit me with it. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun. So, before we get started here, you want to give out some social media plugs so people can follow along and know what we're talking about as we go along?
Oh, perfect. So, my TikTok is the one that popped off. So, at Psycho Silico, SYCOPSILICO. I know it's spelled funny, right?
Yeah.
There's reasons for that. You just got to look into it a little bit more.
Yeah, when I was, you sent me a lot of cool promo shots today, and when I was posting on the social medias, I was making sure that I spelled Psycho Silico correctly, and I wrote it freehand multiple times on many sheets of paper, so I would just know. So, very cool name, though. Very cool name.
Appreciate it.
Now, you got back, what was it, the week before last? You were in a short film competition with your film. Tell us a little bit about that if you would.
So, that was just a 10-minute cut of an hour and 20-minute feature-length film. It's my first feature-length film, actually, but we took it down to about a 10-minute cut to put into that, and I took some of my most violent and gruesome scenes that I could to really push that out there.
Right.
And for that, we win Best Gore, so you can't go wrong with that.
No, not at all. Not at all. Now, once, this is the God's honest truth here, once I learned that I knew that you were going to be in there, that I knew you would win Best Gore. It didn't, because I knew the categories, and once I learned that your project was in there, I was like, you've got to win hands down.
See, I didn't know that Best Gore was an option yet.
Okay.
Yeah, no idea. I got there, and I got in character, and I was talking to the guy who was running the show, and I was like, hey, so what's going on with everything? And he told me a little bit about it, and he was like, yeah, no, we're going to be running all kinds of different, places that you can win with. He's like, Best Gore is one of the categories, and I was like, oh, God, I got to get that one.
So you had no clue going into it?
No, I was just doing it for the fun.
Very cool. Now, you've been working on your project for a little while, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know how much you want to tell. You're welcome to tell what you want. But where did the origin come from this project?
Mental illness.
Okay.
Depression. So this started off as, shoot, you know what? Let's start with the movie. Let's go from there.
Okay.
So with the movie, I'd made my social media account, and I was running off of that, and I kind of got a decent little following, and I was like, you know what? If I hit 10K, I'll make a movie. I thought maybe make a little low budget something other. Well, then it started skyrocketing, and I started getting more and more following after that. And then after that happened.
Now, how long did that take? Because I noticed on your TikTok, did you know it was going to blow up the way it did?
Not at all.
And when it did, how quickly did it blow up?
So I made it in October, and in November it was already at like 5K, but I'd already got permabanned once.
Okay.
So I came back from that. I had to go through all this stuff because of how violent everything was. I didn't know what the line was for
Right.
that. So I tiptoed a little bit too close to the line, and I was like, all right, no more TikTok for you. You're out.
Okay. And that's a month in.
That's a month in.
Okay.
So then I was like, all right, how can we play with this and not go overboard? So I read over all the requirements and the legal stuff. I was like, all right, so the way I can get away with this is if I don't use this tool and I use this tool instead, it can still be a bloody mess.
Right.
But if I use a power tool, that's dangerous acts can't do it.
Okay, so it had to do with like the usage of the weapons other than just the carnage.
Yes.
Interesting.
Because all the carnage is just uncanny valley stuff.
Right.
So that allows me to, where I use the doll heads and I'm, massacre and mutilating those, that
Right.
allows me a little bit more,
Leeway, I guess.
yeah, because I'm not, I can get away with a little bit more with that.
Right.
And, the implications are still there.
Now here's a question that I've wondered: how many doll heads do you own, or have you went through? Do you think?
Going through, I can count.
Okay.
Going through about 15.
Oh, just 15. I assumed it would be more than that. Just 15. Okay.
We're careful with it.
Right.
Because you can make something amazing like this out
Yes.
of it. So, and each one of those heads, they aren't cheap.
Right.
So don't want to just throw it away.
Well, I'd seen something else that you had done on your TikTok, and it seemed it was like you'd have the dolls, but it would have like a before and an after.
Oh yeah.
So what did you call that? Is there any kind of a transformation title or anything called? Is that called any particular thing?
No, that's just the process, the plastic surgery in general.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us maybe a little bit of the plot of your film.
Okay, so the movie, it does play in with the TikTok quite a bit because it's kind of an ARG element.
Right.
So with that in mind,
And this seems pretty inventive for a feature, for it to kind of have I don't want to say spawn, but it's kind of like sometimes when they have a film, they'll release maybe some graphic novels to go along with it, or digital this. But this is kind of like TikTok has spawned in. This is kind of like a rebirth into the theater screen.
Sort of.
Okay.
So I've always wanted to make a movie, didn't know what I wanted to make, and then when that started getting the traction, I've been telling little stories and like little snippets on TikTok, so
Right.
it just made its way more into the. I practiced with like little videos to do a feature-length film out of
Okay.
them. And like when I would make a TikTok, I'd be like, okay, this would be how long it would take to shoot this scene or do this. I can do this because I know how to do it this way on this camera,
Right.
so it'll be easily translatable into a feature length.
Okay, that's pretty cool. So how long has this been going on in your mind to that when did you know the moment this is going to be my feature. This is going to be the project that I devote, because I don't think a lot of people realize that if you do a feature and do it correctly, it's going to take a lot of time, a lot of toll on you mentally, physically, and creatively.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not quite as cookie cutter and easy as a lot of people might think it might be. So when did you realize this is going to be the feature that I'm going to devote a lot of my time to do?
Whenever it popped off, when things started blowing up, there's more people interested, and I was like, okay, so we showed them the gore, and then we bait and switched them, and then we're gonna show them more of the story aspects, the
Right.
elements of who the character is, what he's doing, why he is the way he is.
Okay.
And some people got it, some people don't. Like whoever follows the story enough will get to see it. Some people are there just for the visceral action.
Right, right. So you had mentioned before, not on the show, but I guess to me in private, that you had death threats.
Death threats. You get death threats with this kind of work. It's fun. It keeps you on edge.
I'd
Keeps you
say.
smart.
Now, and you said you also had a huge following in another country.
Yes.
Which country was that?
It was Russia, but with the whole Ukraine situation,
Yeah.
Russia was kicked off TikTok, and I'm really sad about that.
Oh yeah, oh wow, all of Russia's kicked off of
A
TikTok.
lot, as far as I know, unless
Wow.
you use a VPN.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
But I used to have a good following in Russia, and I miss them. They're out now.
Right.
But now it's in Brazil. Brazil, I think, is my second largest follower base. Brazil or Mexico.
Okay. It's weird because the show has a following in it was not an odd country, but it was a country that I would be like them, like Istanbul, like something random, and we were also banned in 2 episodes were banned in Turkey.
Oh, nice.
So
Nice.
I kind of like to wear, and I'm sure you do, wear the badge of like you're the badge of hate, or the people hate on us, or we're banned as a badge of honor.
Yeah, no, it's a good thing to have. It's like an achievement.
Yeah, another
Yeah.
achievement. So you were talking about what are some of the influences that you have? I know you say a lot of video games. Walk us through that a little bit, because I'm very interested, because you have The look of your film in your TikTok is unlike anything that I've seen.
So, let me touch on this part real fast up at first.
Okay.
So, the original inspiration of the uncanny horror that pulled me in was YouTube sensation Shay St. John.
Okay.
Because that was the only thing that tripped me out.
Okay.
I was like, oh, that's weird. That's creepy. It made me feel something.
I'm going to write that down. Chase St. John, right?
Shay St. John.
Okay.
The guy behind it, he passed away in 2010, sadly. I found out about him in 2012. But that's what got me into uncanny horror. And then after that, video games in general is something that I'll do to pull myself out of reality, it's my escapism. And that, like Elder Scrolls, Fallout, all the big open world RPGs along those realms, The Witcher, things like that, you can kind of make your own story in your head.
Right.
Play with it and play with ideas and kind of get a block out of things, like see how it would play out, see how it works.
Right. Okay.
So that's what I do with like cyberpunk and things like that.
So what was one of the, you had told me that, and this kind of surprised me, that you didn't really watch a lot of movies.
I don't at all, really. I've recently started watching a little bit more movies, but not as often as I should probably.
Right. Well, when you do, what do you find yourself gravitating towards? Something that you know, or something that you're trying to discover?
Depends on mood.
Same.
Terrifier. I actually love that movie. It was the movie that made me feel confident to make a movie. I was sitting there with some family. We were watching it and kind of drinking and having a good time. And we were just laughing at how over the top it was, especially the one scene with the girl hanging upside down. Come on, we know this.
Right.
That scene, fist fighter. But it's a good shot. It's well done. It's very graphic, and that made me think, oh, I want to do this. I can do this.
Right.
Let's do this.
So that was a kind of an influence as well. And when was the first Terrifier? I know that Terrifier 2 was this past year. What was the first one? Like
16, 17. I watched it in 2018.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've only seen the highlight scenes of those. I've not seen the actual film of those. You should check out a movie called Infinity Pool.
Okay.
It's by a director, David Cronenberg. He directed, I guess, The Fly would be one of his biggest movies, but his son, Brandon, wrote and directed Infinity Pool. And as a director myself, that would be a movie that I would be like, I wish that I would have directed that. And I think it would be right down your alley. So, tell us a little bit about Psycho-Silico.
So when I started this project, it was right after what I would call a divorce. And I wanted to play with my cameras. I still wanted to make things, but I'm a one-man crew. I'm a one-man production crew. I edit, I do all of it. So It's like, what can I do that, balances out with everything? So I thought about all of my stuff that I'd shot through college, all the things I'd worked on. The original, first cut of Psycho-Silico was... just getting as much violent, visceral shots as I could for a college project.
Right.
And then that grew in my head, and I started telling myself stories, and just kept piling on. Then I was like, you know what? Let's do a photo series. So I did a photo series first, and I inserted a very lewd photo of myself into a worldwide art gallery.
Okay.
I wanted to give it a shot because I had an issue with the way my body looked.
Right.
So let's get, completely naked and lay around with a bunch of severed heads.
Okay.
While I'm wearing a face.
Right.
Why not?
Right, exactly.
So that one's going to be hanging on my mantle. I love
that.
shot.
I actually like the thought of that.
Yeah.
I can see that.
I want to get it printed off on metal, so it has that glisten, surreal, pop look to it.
Yeah.
Soon. But that was the piece that allowed me to break out of the shell I'd put myself into. And when I put that into, I didn't get into the gallery, but it's okay.
Right.
It was the fact of going through that and just doing it. that within itself made me feel way more confident and comfortable with myself.
Right, I can imagine so because you broke free of everything that had been entrapped within,
Yeah.
basically, and you were free the way you wanted to be free.
Yeah. And then after that, it was just everything I could see in my head so clearly. So I was like, let's just make it. And I did. And then I would start like posting little bits of it on Instagram and things like that. It wasn't really getting any traction. So
Right.
one of my friends who has schizophrenia told me, she said, this is the closest thing to my mental illness that I've ever seen. Like, you
Really?
captured it very well. She's like, you need to put this on TikTok. And I fought it for a couple weeks. I was like, no, it's not for me. It's not for me. And then she really laid into it. It's like, put it on there and see what happens. First month, 5K. And I was like, no way.
That's great.
Yeah. Now we're at like, what, 200 and something K?
Yeah, I saw. Now I was kind of like you. I had a TikTok for a while. I never really got on there much, and I didn't really post anything on there up until probably when I first started this show on 92.5. So maybe the 1st of May, around the 1st of May. So, but I'd had it for a while, but I was like you, had kind of resisted the urge to do it, just because there had been so many other things, personal things as well, and with the, I'd seen the traction you had gained, and a couple other people had said, you should really try to do TikTok. So, yeah, I'm glad it's exploded for you.
It happened out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And honestly, with all the shadow bans, it's a shock that it makes it out. And man,
See, I thought so too. I'd posted something very tame, and this is the truth. I'd posted something pretty tame, and then I hear a little echo somewhere.
Huh.
Maybe I don't. But anyway, I had, it was very tame. It was like, I do a series called The Dark Place every Wednesday, and we highlight a certain killer of that week. And I just had like maybe it was a crime scene photo, but it was like maybe a bloody hammer or whatever it may be. And it was like, I guess it was shadow. What was it called? It wasn't banned, but it gave a warning before you could click on it.
Yeah.
And then I actually went to yours, and I was like, how does Tyler post that when mine is nothing like that?
I don't know.
But I'm glad you did it.
I have no idea.
And I'm glad that you've learned. So you said which weapons? You said the power tools.
No power tools.
Okay.
I pretty much had to become a lawyer of TikTok's terms and services. It's
Right.
ridiculous of how much. And they change it so often. So
Really?
One tool is legal 1 month, and then the next month, that tool, I can't use it anymore. I have to put it to the side.
Now, what's the tool that you were most surprised got banned?
The drill.
Real-
Power drill of
Okay.
all things. But I did make an attachment for my power drill for my movie that has a doorknob bit on it, plus a big long drill bit. So I didn't get to use that because the drill that I used turned out to be like a concrete drill.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't take the bit.
Oh.
I mean, you've seen the scene.
Right.
That was the scene that we did that with. But I still have the doorknob bit. And I used it to create one of my other characters, which is Holly. She's got the big, like, open eyes, wears the spandex and
Right.
things like that.
Now, I'm trying to think, I don't think I'd lived here at the time. It was a couple years back, and it seemed like you were, and you may not even remember because I think it might have been live. Did you ever used to go live?
Still go live very
Okay.
frequently now.
Sometimes I would see you live. Then you do Twitch a lot now, right?
No Twitch.
Oh, no Twitch?
No Twitch.
Okay.
Twitch would kick me off instantly.
Okay, okay. But it was a while back, in maybe a couple years ago, and you were seems like in character, and it seemed like some doors were open, and I could see like outside, but I really couldn't see what was out there. It just looked like a black abyss, but I knew the doors were open.
That was my second live I've ever done.
Was it?
Yeah, I still have that head that I torched.
Okay,
We
yeah.
had to have it. We had to have airflow because I didn't want to set off fire alarms.
Okay, because that was one of the first ones that I had watched.
Yeah.
And when was that? 2019? 2018?
2019.
Okay.
Because it was right when I just recently had swapped locations.
Okay.
And that was my second live. The first live I did on Facebook under my actual name and everything.
Right.
That was I made Holly. and on that Facebook Live.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the second one, that character was supposed to have AR-15 rounds in her face, but I haven't made her yet.
Okay.
The time is almost right.
Right.
Like, given all the political turmoil with
Right.
war and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
So, the time's right. I should make her, but
Yeah.
something says not to just
Not
yet.
just yet.
Yeah.
Now, do you have a time limit of, like, you've got, what, an hour and 15 minutes of your film?
I've added 2 new scenes,
Okay.
so it's now like an hour and 20-some minutes.
Do you have a running time that you want to hit, or just when it feels right, or how do you know that you've got this is a completed project?
An hour and 20 to an hour and 30 was what I wanted. I had to settle for an hour and 15, but then after doing a few film festivals and talking with some people, I was like, no more. We're
Right.
going to put it to the hour and 20. So I extended the intro. I keep adding more to the intro.
Right.
But yeah.
Now, is there any particular part that you enjoy, like, do you more than the other? Like, directing yourself, editing, of setting up the lights, making, the characters. Is there anything that you're like, that's my favorite part of this?
Oh, making the characters.
Yeah.
That's when you get to sit down with them, learn who they are. So the process of making these characters, and we're going to go with Carol with this one. Carol, I developed her personality in like 2016.
Okay.
2016, 2017, maybe 15, I don't know. But I would sit with a 40 ounce and just get pretty drunk with it.
Right.
Put it all on.
And you would drink the 40 ounce with intentions of doing this.
No.
Okay.
No, it just happened.
Okay,
I'd
just
get
organically happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'd get pretty drunk and then get in character and just kind of talk to myself and just let it roll out and look at myself in the mirror and talk to myself in the mirror and just get really into it.
Right.
Then when I used to play in a band and used to do music, I would tap into the anger and frustrations.
Right.
So then Carol instantly latched on to that and became an outlet for frustration.
That anger and frustration
Yep.
that you personally had inside.
Yeah. And
So that's a way for you to channel that. Okay.
better than therapy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, therapy, this is my therapy.
I can see that though.
Sometimes really, being in here alone, especially if you start to get into it and just forget that there's, thousands of people listening and it's just yourself, or right now it's just you and I, you can really say some things and then you think back, ooh, should I have said that?
Nope, don't care. It's out in the world. I threw it out there.
Yeah.
So when I go live, I try not to think about how many people are actually watching. I don't care about that number. I do not look at it. If you're interacting with me in the comments, that's where I'm at.
Right.
But of course you have trolls, and I used to be one. So we get to play games back and forth with one another, and that's a good time. But you get banned for defending yourself on TikTok, so that's no fun.
Really?
So you gotta have tact.
So what are some of these trolls? What are they coming at you with? Like what are some of the comments that they're trying to throw your way?
Oh, it's basic stuff. They ain't even trying anymore. It's like they want to attack at a job,
Right.
and like your career, as if that makes you the individual. No, your job don't make who you are. You
No.
make who you are. Your job's just a way for you to live, to do the things that you love doing.
Exactly.
So-
I agree with that 100%. I have 4 side hustles. My job is a director and a host, but the side hustles allow me to do that. They don't define who I am or a career, just as you're saying there.
Right.
And so yeah, I've encountered that as well. So one thing when we saw your film a couple weeks back, I like the music in it as well.
All completely original score. It's Destiny Sansbury.
Yeah.
He's local to the area. He did the score for it. I gave him the full cut and said, "Here you go. Have fun with it.
Right.
Try to do a Carpenter Brut kind of feel." And I sent him some like songs like Turbo Killer and Hairspray Hurricane, things like that.
Right.
I was like, "Here, check these out." And try to get that vibe matched with these visuals. And I gave him my movie, and he sat with it for about 3 months.
Okay.
And he got the score together. And he's going to kill me because now I'm going to have to change some things to it, which means he's now going to have to go back through.
And redo some of it. I think I don't know, whenever I shoot something and then I put it, start editing, there's multiple ways, multiple times that you actually direct. Writing is a form of directing when you're actually directing, and then in the editing room, that's part of directing because you're directing which way you want the edit, which way you want this scene to play. So you're a triple threat as far as writing, directing, acting as well.
Yes.
Well, producing, so more a quadruple threat. What do you find the most? Is there any part of it that you find the most taxing, the most frustrating part?
The most frustrating part is the editing process because I run through 4 different passes. Each pass takes between 6 to 32 hours. So that's brutal.
Yeah, I don't. That's that. Like I used to shoot a couple of years ago. We did a series with this goofball named Amos. Did you know him?
Oh,
You
yeah.
know Amos.
I
Dave.
worked with him on one
Okay.
or two things.
So I like Amos. Amos was fine, but he was a goofy, and so it was often trying to we did 3 or 4 minute little sketches, and just in those little sketches it would take 10, 12, 14 hours, even longer sometimes, especially if Amos wanted to improvise. And people don't realize how long it does take in the editing room to get it right. To get just what you want.
We gotta watch for like little moments in like even eye movement. I look for eye movement a lot.
Yeah.
And then I try to match when I do a cut. I try to match what those motions were and everything in the room. I try to make sure everything's still fluid and going the way it needs to. And if I don't have the shot for it, it'll tempt me for a reshoot.
Right. Yeah. Right. Now, how many was this one of the tracks that you sent?
Oh, that's Turbo Killer. That's one of my. That is the music video to this song is incredible. And if I make Kenzie's movie, which is the character that's in all the cop uniform and stuff, her movie's going to be based around the music video to like the way this song inspired by heavily by that music video, because it's going to be a driving movie more so.
Right. Okay. Now you were talking about when do you expect to have your film finished up? Do you have a date in mind?
So technically it is done.
Right.
But now where I've added these 2 new scenes, they're rendering right now.
Okay.
So I got like, I think 12 more hours on the clock.
Yeah.
Once those get done, tomorrow I'm going to sit down with it and I'm going to put those 2 scenes together, 3 scenes together, and I'm going to send them off to the audio guy, let Destiny go ahead and put everything in and make it right. And then once I get that back, I'll inject it into the main film, re-render the entire thing again. Once everything's completely re-rendered again, it'll be done. And it should be done this month.
Really?
What is today? The
22nd, I think? 23rd.
Close enough.
23rd.
So it'll be done this month. Completely done.
So how does that make you feel, knowing where it started, everything that you've came through, not only with the project but within your life, because I'm sure there's been changes there too, to seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, the finish line of the movie? How does that make you feel?
It's surreal.
Yeah.
I don't believe it is real. And at the same time, it's not a light at the end of the tunnel because there's still so much more to do.
Right.
It's a train is what's at the end of the tunnel, because then once the movie's complete, I don't have a marketing team. I don't have none of this, so I have to figure it all out for myself.
Yourself. And are you one of these directors, even after it's finished, years afterwards, you're going to be tinkering with it and working on it?
Probably not, because I'm the type of person that even if I don't like something, that is character. That's a part of it now.
Right.
Like I might not like that flaw, so I better learn to love that flaw. I better learn to get used to it.
Right.
So that's how I view that.
Okay. So once you're done with the project, it's time to move on to another one.
Yep.
Now, do you have you mentioned a cop one?
Yep.
Is that going to be your next project, you think?
That's up to the fans.
Okay.
So I let my following decide. There's 3 movies right now that I can choose. I can choose the direct sequel to Psycho Silico Solutions.
Right.
I don't have a title for it yet. But or I can do a side thing and do a side story either with Holly or with Kenzie. If I do Kenzie's, then the music video to Turbo Killer's the kind of the vibe that I want to hit.
Right,
I want to get close to that.
Okay.
Which is like surreal, over the top, super colorful. Very 80s.
Right.
Then Holly's movie is just going to be... It'll be Dawn of the Dead on a lot of psychedelics.
Okay.
Is what I'm going for.
That'll be cool.
Yeah, Dawn of the Dead meets World's End meets lots of LSD.
Okay.
So that's that vibe.
Very cool. Now, I'd watched, I'd seen you on Chandler's podcast a few months back, and then you were also at Look Like being interviewed. Well, you weren't being interviewed, but maybe Carol was being interviewed. Izzy at Highland.
Oh no, Highland. That was me. That was me.
Oh, that was you?
Highland was me. There was another one I did online, and I was in this outfit for that.
I'd seen both of them actually. I've seen both of them. One of them you're just you're answering questions.
Yeah, that was for the first film festival I
Okay.
did. The movie wasn't done yet.
Okay.
So I was like rushing myself. Like I was working probably 16 to 20 some hour days. I wouldn't sleep. Anxiety wouldn't let me. So I was
Right.
like, no, you work. You wake up. You get your head together. You work. So I was pulling 16s almost every day except for the weekends.
Right.
And then I was trying to get it done for a Halloween release because I wanted to show it at the Blackwood Drive-In.
Right.
And I was trying to get everything ready for that. No go.
Right.
I rushed myself. I had everything together. I showed it to my lead cameraman. I was like, "What do you think?" He said, "It ain't ready." I was like, "Dude, I'm trying. Like, I'm rushing to get it." He was like, "Don't rush it.
Right.
Stop. Take a break. Go have a beer. Take some time. Look at it again in a bit." So I did. I took his advice. I laid off of it for a good chunk of October, not all of October,
Right.
like 2 weeks.
Was it difficult for you to do that, to step away?
Yes, it was brutal. I did not want to do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I would imagine it would be because it's almost like well, it is. It's a part of you. And
Yeah.
it's like trying to. I'm not going to get in touch with that part of myself for the month of October or whatever it may be. So you got back into that. You saw it with fresh eyes.
Sort of fresh.
All
Because I
right.
was still doing the TikToks on the side.
Right.
And like that would still inspire and make me think and get my mind rolling.
So how many TikTok videos do you have on there?
No clue. I reposted a lot during
Okay.
the process of making the movie. If I'm working on the movie, we
Right.
repost because my computer's rendering. I can't render something new. And I'm a quality guy. Like
Right.
the quality has to be to the level I want it. Because if it doesn't hit what I see in my head and the way I see it in my head, I'm not satisfied.
Right. Yeah, I can understand that. So let's get back to, let's circle back around to Psycho Silico, the title. Explain this to us.
Okay. So Psycho is, well, just
Right.
it's a given. Spell it cute, make it fun.
Right.
And then silico is, well, a derivative from psilocybin and silicone. Because I'm working plastic surgery, I'm working on silicone heads.
Right. Right.
And then throw in the psychedelic effect of psilocybin, which is what I consider my personal lifesaver. So,
Yeah.
you gotta pay homage to what inspired the ideas and makes the visions come to life in the head.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Now, one thing I did enjoy was the ending credits on what you showed in Knoxville, and I thought that was very inventive, and I thought that was a nice touch.
That's actually the opening credits. I just put them at the end credits for that.
Okay.
That was pretty much me making sure the viewer knows where I come from,
Right.
because my lead camera operator, again, he's old school. He also isn't a horror buff. He also didn't watch all my TikToks either, so
Right.
he didn't know exactly where this was all coming from.
Right.
He was like, "So that big surgery scene in your movie," he was like, I don't understand." I was like, "Well, you didn't watch the TikToks." I was like, "Because my followers enjoy just the visceral, long cut views of the violence.
Mm-hmm.
They know it's fake. It's the fact that I can make something that is obviously fake make you uncomfortable, to make you be like, oh, that's too much."
Yeah, make you squirm in your seat.
Yeah.
And I did look around, and there were a few people squirming in their seat when your film was on there. So, job well done.
Perfect.
Job well done. That was interesting because we had taken our film there, in which we didn't even make it for that at all. So it was a fun thing to be involved in. And have you got your award in the mail?
No, and I'm mad about it because I want to go live and I want to show it off, but in time. I'll
Yeah,
be patient.
yeah.
I'm just impatient.
That when I saw those, I was like, those are actually some pretty cool awards.
Right.
That's not what I expected, but it was very retro, very 80s horror, and I really, really liked it.
And 80s horror is a huge thing for me.
Yeah.
That's given I don't watch a lot of movies, but that I love lens flares. I love I can't think of the name of the lens right now. Creates the really good flare. It's got the big long.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
I know exactly.
Yeah. I want new kits of that. But anyways, like that whole look, that aesthetic, love it.
Right, right. So, have you always been into the gaming world? Have you always been, kind of that been a little bit of your passion?
Absolutely. Legend of Zelda is actually my biggest contributor to me being into the video game world.
Okay, so that kind of spawned, everything kind of grew out of the Legend of Zelda.
Majora's Mask was the one I was playing Stone Tower Temple as a
Okay.
kid in 2001, 2002. And I was going through that dungeon. I was like, this is what I want to do. This is what I want my life to be. This is what I want my living to be. So went to
So
college.
you knew from a very early age, this is the path that I'm going to take. This is what I want to do.
Absolutely. 7 or 8.
Right,
And I was like,
right.
it inspired me. It hooked me.
Yeah, I understand. I was pretty young too when I realized. At the time, I didn't know doing a radio or anything like that because at a little kid, I didn't really think of that. But as far as like, directing things and making things and recording, like theater on cassette tape. I would just play different characters just myself with voices. So yeah, I can see how things would spawn from the childhood and lead into this. Now, is this where you expected to be at this point in your life?
Not at all. I threw a
Okay.
dream away. I didn't throw it away. I traded a dream. So I got into the game industry, and I was working at a AAA game studio. And I remember I went to college for the whole 6-year stint to get
Right.
this position or to work towards this position. Finally got it. I worked there for about a year and 9 months or something like that. But I was given an option. You either make your movie or you let go of this AAA game studio career that you have. They offered me a full-time position. They said, however, your movie is going to be you can't do it now because of the legal stuff. And I was like, oh. I was like, so think about it and let us know what you think. So I thought about it, and I was like, yeah, no, I'm done. I'm done. I'm out. I'm gonna make this movie. I saved up for it. I did all this stuff to get to this point.
Yeah.
I'm making this movie.
Yeah. Now, did you expect it to when they told you that? Did that come as a surprise to you?
Not entirely.
Okay.
I was kind of ready for it because I wasn't working. I was working as a contractor at
Right.
first, and then when they offered me the full-time position, that changes things legally.
Okay.
It would consider I don't know what I can and can't say.
Right.
But I just wasn't allowed to have both. So I had like the money for my movie was
Right.
actually supposed to be my down payment for my house.
Right.
But the housing market is just total trash.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make a movie.
Time to make
I
the
don't
movie.
care.
Yeah, I understand. I'd saved up quite a bit when I was doing radio up in DC, and I had, originally hadn't planned to move back to the area. That wasn't the plan. It was only to move back to the area for a few months to film.
Right.
But this was a couple years ago when we did the movie with Andy Dick. But a few months turned into like a few more months, which turned into like 6 months, which turned into now. And so, yeah, I understand not being where you thought you were going to be and using the money that I'd saved for whatever else to, all right, I got to finance this entire movie by myself, which is, what we're doing.
Right. I mean, you gotta.
You've got to do it because really, yeah, I think it comes down to the people that say they want to do something and then those that do it.
Right.
And I'm going to be the one that does it, and you are too.
You have to, because if you don't, it'll just sit there and burn a hole into the back of your head until you finally just do it.
And if you don't do it, I personally think you're going to be miserable being on a path that you truly don't want to be on.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you truly want to make this movie or whatever it may be, but you're doing something else and your heart is not 100% in it, it's not going to be 100% enjoyable.
No. So the big boss that I worked with at this job at the game studio, me and him had a one-on-one, and we were talking about it. And I was like, man, I'll tell you the reason why I'm not taking this opportunity that you all presented me. It's great. Y'all have been the best company I've ever worked for. You've treated me like a real human. You know,
Right.
you haven't treated me like another cog in the machine. You treated me great. So it hurts me to have to leave, but I feel like I'll regret something for the rest of my life if I don't take this chance. And he said, you know what? I think you're right, and I think you should go for it. And he was like, you will always, if I have anything to say about it, you'll always have a home back here if you ever need us again. So,
Well, that's very encouraging to hear that as well.
right, and that made me feel way more confident about jumping. So a little bit of a safety net, and I don't know how secure that safety net is,
Right.
but secure enough to make me feel comfortable and okay to go with it.
Right. Well, that's good to have. That's good to definitely have. And I'm glad that you're following that dream, and it's going to be a success, I think. So, how many festivals? What do you see for this? Taking this on the festival route, or do you want to go the the midnight drive-in route? I know you had mentioned that a couple of times.
I want to take it as many places as I can. So you know who Joe Bob Briggs is?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I emailed him, and on the way back from the Knoxville Film Festival, I got an email from one of his people that was
Okay.
like, hey, Joe Bob forwarded this to me. We want you to put your film in our festival, our like drive-in festival that we're doing in Las Vegas. And I was like,
Okay.
no way, for real?
That would be very cool.
Oh, dude, if I can get it.
I remember
So,
him back from the he was on Showtime. He did a show on Showtime when I was a kid. They used to give free previews of the channel Showtime, and he would be on there with his movie show, the drive-in show.
yeah, that's what, yeah, the drive-in show, and
Yeah.
it's on Shudder now.
Yep.
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 But I'm gonna put after I get the new scenes injected. That's why I have to be quick about it,
Right.
Because I need them to see the new scenes to make sure that the intro is the way that I want it to be.
Right.
So once I get that situated, because I love the drive-in. It's where I saw my first horror movie,
Which was your first one that you saw at the drive-in?
help me out here because I'm bad with names. It's the it has Owen Wilson in it. It's a big haunted house.
It's called The Haunting.
That's it. So that was my first horror movie I'd ever seen, and it was at Blackwood. That's why I
Right.
want my movie to show at Blackwood,
Okay.
because I watched that and Deep Blue Sea.
Okay,
on
Deep
the
Blue
same
Sea.
night.
Yeah. I remember those, and I saw both of them. Interesting side bit. Owen Wilson at the time, he hadn't yet discovered that comedy was what he was going to do, so they were putting him in different kind of movies around that time. He did an action movie with Gene Hackman. He did The Haunting with Liam Neeson, and then he did some action comedies with Jackie Chan. So around that time, they didn't know what to do with him. But The Haunting was that one of your early favorite movies?
No, it was just the first horror movie
Okay.
I watched that made me traumatized, and I had to sleep with nightlights still.
What was the part? Do you remember the part, or was it the movie as a whole?
Well, it was the movie as the whole for one, but the scene where Owen Wilson gets got.
Yeah.
I hated that because he was the guy that I liked in the film.
Yeah.
He was the happy guy,
Yep.
you know?
Yep. Yeah.
He had the ping pong thing,
Yep.
the paddle thing.
Oh yeah, he did, didn't he?
Yeah.
I'd forgotten about that. It's been a while since I've seen it, but yeah, I'd forgotten about that.
I've only watched it once, and it was back then. I'm shocked I can remember that. I guess because it traumatized. Oh, that and the harp hitting that girl in the face.
Yeah, I
She
do
survived,
remember.
didn't she?
Yeah, she did survive. What about the movie Cabin Fever? Have you seen Cabin Fever?
Never watched it.
Heard of it?
Have. And I want to watch it because I know about the little twist in it, and that makes me want to watch it even more.
Okay. I would say if you watch the first Cabin Fever, I'm not going to say it's a great movie. It does hold a special place in my heart. And in the year 2009, I watched it every day for 6 months. Or listened to the audio commentary by Eli Roth, which I'd love to meet Eli Roth.
Shaun of the Dead was that movie for me.
Okay.
Shaun of the Dead was the movie that made me want to make movies
Right.
because I just loved it so much. But it's still probably one of my most favorite films.
You know, I've tried to. Is that the movie that you would say that's when you were like, yes, I do want to make movies with Shaun of the Dead?
That was the movie that made me want to make movies, but
Yeah.
it wasn't the movie that made me feel like I could make movies.
Okay.
So, like, there's the things that make you want to do stuff, but then there's the things that are like, oh, okay, I think I can do
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
And Terrifier was it for me.
Right.
That and Quentin Tarantino's first film, Reservoir Dogs.
Reservoir Dogs, a classic.
Love it.
I can never name my favorite Quentin Tarantino movie because Reservoir Dogs that actually was the second movie that I'd seen of his after Pulp Fiction, which we actually did Pulp Fiction a couple weeks ago in the film or on the show. But Reservoir Dogs is an amazing piece of work as well.
It's definitely one up there for me.
Who would you say? Who's your favorite?
Mr. Pink.
Mr. Pink.
Mr. Pink.
Okay.
Hands down.
Okay.
He's the smartest one out of all of them.
And he's one of the only ones. He gets the diamonds and he leaves.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone else gets shot, don't they?
Yeah, they get too emotional. They get too connected. And also, there was a cop.
Right. And then, Mr. Pink grabs the diamonds. He's out of there.
He knew. They should have listened to Mr. Pink from the beginning.
They should have. So, if you were to write, if you were to say, any film that's out there that exists now, but it would be made by you, that you made it, what film would that be?
Tourist Trap.
Okay.
Because I'm so disappointed in it.
Okay.
So disappointed. Everybody was like, you gotta watch it because of the mannequin faces and all the mannequins in there. You gotta watch it. I was so bored with it, and I'm sorry to say that for people who love that film, but it feels very 70s.
Yeah.
But I did recently watch Frankenhooker with my girlfriend.
Okay.
Love it. That movie has a charm to it that I wasn't expecting it to have. And I was like, okay, so at the Knoxville Film Festival and the FrankenCon,
right,
we got to meet the girl who played Frankenhooker,
right,
and I'd never heard of the movie before, didn't know anything about it, and I was like, oh, she's super cool, she's a really sweet person, we have to watch this movie,
right.
So me and my girlfriend last week actually sat down and watched through it, and I was like, oh, it's so good. My only complaint is I want more Frankenhooker.
Okay.
Yeah, didn't have enough of her. Need more of her in there.
I've heard of it, but I've never actually. What did you watch it on?
Tubi.
Okay.
Yeah, it's free. Go check it out.
Might be something to check out. And Terrifier, I've been very but I've seen scenes of them each, 1 and 2, but not the complete feature. So I want to try to check those out.
Terrifier is actually going to be going back to theaters. I don't think it ever got a theatrical release to begin with. So
Yeah, the first one didn't. I don't think.
Yeah, so
I think just the second one did.
The 19th. I don't know which theaters it's supposed to be playing at, but it has a theatrical release going on soon.
Now, speaking of theatrical release, after the show tonight, I'm going to show you the theater over there. So hopefully we might be able to get your film showing there if you'd want.
That would be fantastic.
And maybe in the future, hopefully we could maybe do some kind of a local film festival.
I would love that. This area needs something to spark that inspiration.
I do too, because I often wonder if there was more people inspired by that, if there would be more people that would be willing to put themselves out there and do things, because a lot of people don't want to be on camera, just like a lot of people don't want to be on the radio.
I didn't want to be on camera.
Yeah.
But I have to, and that's one reason why I like the mask so much.
Right.
Because it's not me. It's Izzy, it's Carol, it's Kenzie, it's Holly. It's
Right.
not me.
You can do things behind the mask that you can't really do as yourself.
Right.
Which is actually why I wore the sunglasses the first hour of the show.
Perfect. I get that.
Because I feel more at ease, kind of hidden a little bit behind the masks.
Yeah.
So Tyler Payne, it's been a fun show tonight.
Is an hour already up?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
approaching the last minute. We're going to have have you back on the Uncensored podcast.
I would love to.
So we'll do that very, very soon. You want to give out your social media plugs once again?
Yeah, so if you want to, find me on TikTok, Instagram at PsychoSilico. That's SYCOPSILICO.
And that was like I said earlier, I did write that name down multiple times. And I'd showed Lana and a couple of other people some of the promo pictures you sent me in the amazing.
The one you used is actually a behind-the-scenes shot from Silico Solutions.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a little behind the scenes there for people that want to go and check that out. That is on the Other People's Show or Ryan Parker on Facebook. So check out your TikTok. It's amazing. It really is, and it's something that when people go there and check it out, it's going to be memorable. It's going to be something they're going to want to go back. Just if for nothing else, just to say, I can't believe that what am I seeing here?
I hope.
Yeah.
Because that's what Shea St. John was for me. So I hope I can do that for others.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, thank you for joining us tonight, and we look forward to having you back on. Like always, thanks for the audience for listening tonight. You can go on the Other People's Show on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, or TikTok, and check out the Real Talk next week. We're going to be doing either the movie Dick Tracy or Eyes Wide Shut. And Wednesday, we're going to be talking about Eric Smith on The Dark Place. Tyler, thank you for joining.
Hey, thanks for having me.
You all have a good night.